Hi, I'm Sarah Benwell, the editor of fundoperator.com, and I'm here with Robert Corbally, COO of Variety Capital. Robert is speaking at our Fund Operator Summit later in the year, and ahead of that, we wanted to catch up with him just to get a bit of a flavour of what he's going to be talking about. Hi, Robert. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Sarah. Pleasure to be here.
So we're going to talk about your Irish UCITS fund launch, and I guess my first question is, when you were doing the launch, what made you decide to use third parties to outsource most of your functions? And did you consider insourcing, and if so, what made you decide against it?
Yes, sure. Well, the simple answer is that insourcing was not really an option. Our background is in distribution. And what is fantastic about the setup and the industry these days is that there are a lot of third parties that can provide services which enable investment funds to get up and running actually with remarkably minimal resource. So as a company with a background in distribution, we determined that there was a market demand for exceptional performance. We found some US managers with exceptional risk-adjusted returns, and we determined that the best way of bringing them to market was to set up our own platform and to leverage the numerous third-party outsource providers that exist and do a great job for a lot of other providers in the market as well.
Great. And when you were thinking about those third-party providers and the partners you chose to work with, what were some of the key steps that you took in selecting the right people?
Sure. So, perhaps a lot of these are going to be obvious, but identifying what our requirements were, developing a long list of providers across each, whether it's from a Manco perspective or a third-party administrator perspective, developing the long list, and then whittling down those lists based on the various parties' appetite, their organizational ability to support what we were doing, and fulfill the brief. But really what we found through all of this is that it's absolutely critical that the parties and the vendors we're speaking to totally understand our proposed approach and provide input to proposals. So if what we're proposing is not workable, then that's very valuable to us clearly. But we need to be completely aligned. That's really, really important. Then you have the sort of formal due diligence requirements that are undertaken. And interestingly, one of the interesting aspects was that in looking to appoint third parties, we started doing due diligence, but then also they turned around and did due diligence on us. So that was all part of the experience. But aside from the formal due diligence, it's also important to do some informal due diligence. And so working the peers and competitors and speaking to the network and just making sure that that it's going to be a good fit.
That makes sense to me. And thinking about that process as a whole, can you reflect on any perhaps challenges that you faced and how you overcame them?
Yeah, one challenge we were down the route of selecting a partner, and then we jointly agreed that actually it wasn't the right thing to proceed together. And whilst that was a frustration at the time, actually it was about being, I guess, it sounds a bit trite, but it's about being grown up enough on both sides to recognize that in good order. The challenge is that it did delay our launch of the platform, but as we look back, whilst it was regretful to go through that experience, it helped cement a lot of it helped cement the importance of getting the selection correct. And so working with the correct partners is critical.
Great. And then last one from me, whether it's with this process specifically or from your wider experience, what lessons can you share on outsourcing generally and the trick to building good relationships?
Building relationships is critical. It's critical in all walks of life, of course, but really, to my earlier point, a common understanding of the project and the ambition of the whoever's driving the project. Make sure that is in place from the off. Keep working at the relationships beyond selection. Sometimes, perhaps as vendors or even appointees of vendors move from the beauty parade to actual implementation, it can be seen that the nature of the relationship is changing. It is in reality, because you've moved from winning business to operating business, but that needs to be taken as the opportunity for the relationship to grow. And really important to recognize as well that success is shared amongst all parties. So it would be very easy, in my example, where Variety Capital, we have set up an Irish UCITS fund, we are raising assets, that people will sort of come and congratulate us and say, well done for launching the fund, well done for raising assets. But actually, a great part of what makes it work is that we raise assets because that's successful for the investment manager, it's successful for the third-party administrators, it's successful for the manco. So everyone contributing to the model, they have their own success metrics that are all tied together. So everyone needs to be, we all need to be cognizant of and respectful of everyone's particular success metrics, because that ultimately is what delivers the positive outcomes.
Great, thank you, Robert. Obviously, we'll be talking about insourcing, outsourcing, and all other aspects of fund operations and getting that right at our conference later this year. And I can't wait to hear more from you and all of our other speakers, of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I look forward to that very much. Thank you.